You know what I like to do on Sundays? I like to look at some baseball cards. My dad called me. He heard an interesting statistic while watching the Pirate game. When the Pittsburgh Pirates score just 2 runs for Paul Skeens, he's undefeated. That's how often they can't score 2 runs for the guy. So I got a card I wanted to show you, and I wanted to talk a little bit about condition and card prices and values. I buy cards because they speak to me, because I like the look of them. And I'm not, for whatever reason, I'm not super into condition. I just like a good-looking card. Oftentimes, the cards that speak to me are a little lower grade because they just speak to me. I don't know why. I got this O-Pee-Chee, 1968, Roberto Clemente, in a 1.5. And I just loved it. I just wanted to have it. And I have moved to collecting, more in the lower grade range and just finding cards I love. And in the modern hobby, right now, and for those of you who have gone to the National or watched the National videos or seen what they're asking for these cards today, see what people are paying for cards today. The dealers, the flippers, they hold all the power. In negotiating, if somebody else holds all the power, you're going to get screwed. You never go into a car dealer and tell them you have to have that car. You're not going to get a very good deal. When you buy cards like this, I hold all the power. Flippers aren't flipping this. Dealers aren't asking an arm and a leg for it. But I love it. I hold all the power. Nobody wants this junk. I say all the time that I'm a collector. I don't care about the value. I did a video on that a while back because people call you a liar if you say that. I have these cards. I'm just going to share a few. This is a 1914 Cracker Jack Tris speaker. Now, right hand to God, if this was a 9 or a 10, I wouldn't love it any more than I love this card. I don't need a 9 or a 10. I have 9s, I have 10s, I have high grades. And you know what? I've come to the realization, I don't love them anymore. I don't love them any more than my other cards. And in some cases, I love them less because they just don't look that good to me in some cases. And I've seen higher grades, higher numbers on this card. Doesn't look this good. I love this one. If this was a 9 or a 10, I'd sell it for $1 million, buy myself a house or a Ferrari, and buy this card. I truly love this card. Now, you hear all kind of people saying, well, I'm buying a 1 because I can't afford a higher grade. That's not the way I think. I just wanted this card. I love this card. It doesn't matter if I could afford a higher grade or not. In many cases, I can't afford the higher grade. I still don't want it. I have this Honus Wagner. I can't find a darn thing wrong with it, but it has that ugly number on it. Not a darn thing wrong with it. Somebody was high on Red Bull. Maybe their vision was blurry, but I don't care. I don't care. If this was a 7, I would not love it any more. And in some cases, the higher numbers just look worse. I've seen awful looking 7s and 8s. I've seen 9s and even 10s that I wouldn't want. They changed the scale for 10s now. But I see all these 10s and I know those wouldn't even be 10s today. I got this. This is a super rare premium of Rogers Hornsby. Now, there's another one out there for about almost twice as much money as I paid for this. And it looks, way worse. It's on the back and crooked. It has a blemish on the premium itself. The premium itself here is just pristine. It's the backing. There's a couple of pinholes in the backing that somebody hung this thing up. Same with this. I love the way it looks. As God is my witness, I wouldn't be happier if it had a different number on there. I don't buy my cards to flex or to show off, I'll post a card and somebody will be like, oh, I have that in a 9. Don't care. I really, truly don't care about the grade. And when you buy lower grade, you hold all the cards. The flippers don't, the sellers don't, the dealers don't. I believe I have the most extensive collection in the world. And what I mean by that is most sets represented, most years represented, depths of my sets, most sports represented. I have rare Babe Ruths, Ty Cobbs. I have cards that they're the only ones graded. I have tons of single-digit teens, in the teens pop reports. I collect history. I collect cards. I find it interesting that you can go out today and buy a blaster box and pull one card of a guy who may never make the Hall of Fame, who may never even pan out, and it will sell for more than my entire collection. And that's where the hobby's at. It's that gambling aspect, the big people flipping the same cards over and over every time, selling for more. And, I just don't play in those realms, and I don't care. I don't care. That's the way the hobby is. I accept that. This is where the hobby is. But to me, I play in a different realm. I collect. And would I want to trade some prospect that sells for $1 million for my entire collection? No way in hell. I've spent my whole life gathering these. I have so many special cards. At least they're special to me. And to trade them, I don't care if there's one card out there that is worth more than my whole collection. Don't care. That's the modern hobby. I call it the hot potato hobby. And at the National, it proved me right. I went up to the trade night, absolutely packed. Everybody up there was selling cards they had just bought hours before. You see, the average time to hold a card nowadays is half a day. My man Eric, we did a video. I was following him around. He was looking for a Hank Aaron rookie card. A friend of ours had sent him a note and a picture and said, here's what you've been looking for, this Hank Aaron rookie. It was, what he felt comfortable paying, and it was a nice example of it. So we went, it was gone. So he went around, and, once you see that card that you absolutely fall in love with for the right price, nothing else is going to suffice. So he ended up not getting anything because he was comparing them to that one, and you're better off holding out for the one that you love. So he didn't get anything. We go up to trade night, and guess what's up there being sold? The one that the person bought that day, that card that he was looking at. Because we're in an era now where if people think that a card is undervalued or they can get a few hundred extra, they'll just buy it because they could flip it the next day. And that's just the world we live in. And that's just the way the hobby is. It's a Jeff Wilson hobby now. I just live in it. I think it's important to stay true to who you are. I have a whole set over here in a binder of 1986 Topps cards, fresh from packs, pack fresh. Many of those, if you send them in and they get a 10, might sell for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Now, I'm not putting anybody down who pays that for a 10, but to me, I'd punch myself in the face if I paid that. Because it doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to love it more. I bought a Don Mattingly in an SGC7 because I just loved the look of it. And I had to block somebody. He just kept coming at me how stupid I was. I should buy the highest number I can afford, and I'm stupid for buying that. They're my cards. It's my collection. I think people are stupid for paying tens of thousands of dollars for, players that ended up being a total bust. But I don't make those comments. I don't go around making comments that those people are stupid. You're free to do what you want. That's what I had on my mind. It's an interesting hobby. Whew. I got this Pittsburgh Spirit hat. Now, when I was young, very young, we had this business associate of my parents, and he sponsored this team. It was an indoor soccer team, and man, it was fun to go and watch them. We had a star named Paul Child. He was the big star on the team. And there's a store called Yinzer or something, and they sell old Pittsburgh stuff. And I picked one of these up. It reminds me of my youth, just like many of my cards do. That's what I have for you. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for listening. I gots to go. Let me show you my Roberto Clemente O-Pee-Chee again. Thanks, guys.